the Precinct 1 Constable, Alan Rosen, followed by Erica Davis, the Harris County Department of Education Board of Trustee, followed by Mark Denson, President of On-Site Towing. Then we'll have Jessica Ballant, Director of Prevention and Education for the Bridge Over Troubled Water, followed by Marie Jacinto, Director of Community Awareness and Prevention from AVDA, also means the Aid to Victims of Domestic Violence. And we'll finally close out with a story from a domestic violence survivor named Misty Castor. We'll kick things off with Constable Alan Rosen.
Good afternoon. Today we have a historic day happening in Harris County where law enforcement and the towing industry are collaborating to bring awareness to tow away from domestic violence. We are here to showcase that the numbers of domestic violence in Harris County have gone up immeasurably. And it's time that we all take a proactive role in preventing this from happening. With the pandemic being in a long stretch here, people have been at home more, they've been together more, and domestic violence in Harris County is on the rise. And so we have taken the opportunity to partner with tow truck drivers that are all over the city and the county. And so often, they're our eyes and our ears. And they are now going to have a decal on their vehicles that show that they are a domestic violence supporter and a resource for people that may be impacted by domestic violence and might need their car towed. They may need help. They can run similar to the way children can run to a safe house to a record driver that has these decals on their vehicles. This partnership is something that I think is going to take off nationally, not only to bring awareness, but also to be a resource for domestic violence victims. There's nothing worse. So many people feel like they are stuck in a marriage that involves domestic violence. And I just think as a community, we have to do more. Law enforcement has to do more. The public has to do more. And we have to have resources for people that are trying to escape that violence. Our domestic violence cases have become much more volatile. We have seen a lot of people being murdered, murder-suicides, and to have the tow truck industry be a vehicle for these victims to approach is just phenomenal. So I want to publicly acknowledge the tow truck industry as being a collaborative partner. You'll see the decals on all of these trucks that show that they are participating in the program. They are all going to have these bags that are here that have resources. They have food vouchers, they have clothing, they have hotel vouchers, they have free legal assistance for people to escape domestic violence situations. And it's just phenomenal. I can't thank Mark Dennison and all of our other partners, Erica Davis with the Harris County Board of Education, for putting together with me a program that's going to be impactful. At Precinct 1, that's what we've always been, and we always will be. And this is Domestic Violence Month, and we need to do more as a society to stamp out this terrible, terrible situation. So I am now going to turn it over to Erica Davis with the Harris County Board of Education, and she will talk a little more about this. Thank you.
Domestic violence is an epidemic that knows no boundaries and does not discriminate based upon religion, race, gender, or sexual orientation. Family and domestic violence is a commonplace in the United States, affecting an estimated 10 million people every year. And as the COVID pandemic takes a toll on communities around the world, domestic violence victims face a unique set of challenges to their safety and well-being. Awareness and education is a step to proactively move towards helping victims. So to the community, Dear my community, if you are watching this and are experiencing this pain, this initiative is for you. If you are the neighbor that continuously hear the pain through the walls, share these educational resources. If you are a friend who is on the other end of that abrupt phone call disconnection, share these educational resources. And if you are a relative and know your loved ones are experiencing this, these educational resources are here for you. The compiling of these resources that we have here today is that ready kit that the tow truck drivers will have. Our officers will have them. But it will help restart a survivor's new life. Thank you.
As a towing owner and a industry member, I'm excited to be a part with Constable Rosen's program here. This is a great time to reach out and be a positive influence into the community. Towing industry has done a lot to really bring itself up and educate itself. We undergo extreme criminal background checks. We go through FBI, DPS, the City of Houston, Harris County. All of our drivers are safe drivers. These are safe people that you can approach in the community, and they're going to help you. They're willing to help you. These bags, these are just an extension of an opportunity for us to be there for our community and give back in a time of need. Our drivers and company drivers, they're county-wide, they're city-wide. We extend into Montgomery County, Waller County, surrounding areas. So this isn't just a local thing. We have people everywhere that will have these bags at any given time. So if any other law enforcement officer needs them, simply ask. We have them. We're willing to provide them to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is an honor to be with you here today on National Go Purple Day to shine a light on domestic violence. So according to the Center for Disease Control, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. 1 in 3 teens, while they're in high school, will experience an abusive relationship. So let's let those statistics sink in here for a second. I think we can all agree that those statistics are outrageously too high. Too many people are suffering from this form of abuse. And so the Bridge Over Troubled Waters, we want survivors to know that we are there for you. We are here 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. All of our services are free and offered bilingually. We serve everyone. We serve people of all ages and all genders. And we have a 24-hour hotline that you can reach out to anytime. We are located in Pasadena, Texas, and we have a satellite office in Baytown, Texas, but we service all survivors throughout Harris County and the surrounding areas. We want the community to know that we are here to support survivors and their families on their healing journeys. We want them to know that we can help them on their fresh and safe start of their new life through housing programs, employment assistance, individual therapy, support groups, and of course, safety planning so that they can safely leave that relationship. We also have an education and prevention team that goes out and is working on changing the social norms in our culture through community organizing, professional trainings, presentations, and community workshops. Last year, we experienced a 20% increase in the state of Texas for domestic violence homicides. A total of 228 Texans were killed by the person who was supposed to love them. This is the greatest number of domestic violence homicides that we've seen in a single year since Texas Council on Family Violence has begun this research. I'm here to ask you today to join the Bridge Over Troubled Waters and our phenomenal community partners at Precinct 1 in joining our fight against domestic violence. If all 367 million Americans did one thing to prevent domestic violence, we would win this fight. The option for that one thing is endless. You can hold a community conversation centering the voices of survivors to discuss possible solutions. You could volunteer your time and skills to a domestic violence organization. You can model respect and equality in all of your relationships. You can interrupt racist, sexist, heterosexist, and ableist comments and advocate for equitable practices and policies. You can engage in legislative advocacy for survivors. You can break the silence on social media. Invite a speaker to discuss domestic violence in your faith-based community, your school, or your organization. Challenge victim-blaming comments and honor the choices of survivors in your lives. And lastly, inspire others to join our movement to end domestic violence. These are just a handful of the countless things that you can do to help us win this fight against domestic violence. Together, with our collective power, we can change the culture and save countless lives. Thank you.
Domestic violence is a public health crisis. I'm Marie Jacinto with AVDA, Aid to Victims of Domestic Abuse. We've been in the Houston area for more than 40 years. We provide free legal representation. This is so important. AVDA is not a shelter. It's the next step for a survivor to really begin again. So we provide free legal representation for divorce, child custody, child support, very importantly, protective orders. In the case of a parental fatality, we also offer adoption services. But we take a holistic approach to ending domestic violence, which is our mission. We also help abusers with a battering intervention and prevention program. We have this program in Montgomery, Harris, Galveston, and Fort Bend counties. We work with abusers to overcome the abusive behaviors. And finally, we know that the only way we can really end domestic violence is by teaching our young people about healthy relationships and healthy relationship skills. So we are out in the community practically every day of the year in schools. We also train adults, especially first responders like our faith leaders, our law enforcement, our medical professions, on understanding what the signs of abuse are and to help victims survive. So today I want to leave you with two very important messages. If you are surviving domestic violence, the most important thing for you to do is to stay safe. That might mean that you don't just leave, and you certainly do not tell your abuser that you're about to leave. It's the most dangerous time for anyone surviving domestic violence is upon leaving. This is true for our law enforcement too. Some of the most dangerous calls they will make are domestic violence calls. We want to keep everyone safe, but please reach out, call one of the many, many resources for domestic violence in our community to make a safety plan to keep yourself safe. My second message for today is, if you know someone who's surviving domestic violence, there are three important things to do. First is to recognize the signs. Isolation is usually a key sign of domestic violence. Someone suddenly is not attending family events, can't go out, that may be a sign that they're experiencing domestic violence in their home. Secondly, respond. Do not judge, do not blame victims. Trust me, they're blaming themselves enough. Listen. That's the most important thing you can do. And then finally, refer them. Refer them to all the resources that we have in this community. Stay safe, everyone.
Hello, I'm a domestic violence survivor. I grew up in a family where my mother had to flee our home from our father with me and my sister because she was beaten so bad and so brutal that we spent months living in our cars behind police stations where the officers would bring us donuts in the morning, and we lived there for months until my mom found a safe haven where she could work and find us, get us food and find us a place to live. We lived there for about a couple of months when my dad found us. He kicked in the door, beat my mother while me and my sister hid in the closet, and took us away from my mother. My mother was so afraid for her life that she didn't come back around for years. And the only way that we ever got to see her in those few years after that was when we would be dropped off in a parking lot somewhere by a family member, and they had to leave completely before she would come out of nowhere and get us and take us to someplace different, and then drop us back off in that parking lot and leave. My father continued this cycle with me and my sister. She wasn't there anymore to have the abuse, so he had to abuse somebody. That ended up being me and my sister. Therefore, her and I carried that on to our relationships. We have both been in very abusive relationships, both physical and mentally. I've been shot, I've been beaten, I've been hit by a car, but you can get out. You can get out. There are help. There's help here now that I didn't know was around when I was going through this, or especially as a child, I didn't know any of that was around to help me. With all the partners here, the resources are available for you to get out and for you to get the help that you need. Reach out to us. I am part of the towing community, and that's why this was so great and near and dear to my heart when they reached out to me about doing this, because I am both part survivor and a tow truck operator, and I want to see us all survive and live through this. We can. We are survivors. All you have to do is reach out, and if you can help somebody and you hear their cries, please don't ignore them. The signs are there. The people are there to help. Just reach out and help them.
Well, as you just heard, a survivor. So that tells you that there is life after domestic violence. My greatest fear is people don't know all of these resources are there. So please, let's start having this conversation. Let's talk. All these resources are available to somebody that is in a domestic violence situation. So I'm imploring the public, friends, relatives, co-workers, if you know somebody's in a domestic violence situation, please help them. We stand ready to help. Call law enforcement and we will walk you through all of these incredible organizations to get you the help you need to escape this life. And so we're praying that everybody really does see the resources here and uses them. And I'm opening it up for any questions now that you may have of any of our collaborators.
So he's not going to have any questions, but I did forget any Spanish remarks. Do I have any Spanish speakers here?
You want to do it? No, it's not a pilot program. We are actually, this is going to be something that we're going to continue to support. It is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we chose this month to roll this program out. And when you have participants, people that collaborate, such as the towing industry, that is willing to go and become part of the solution, we're all in. It's not a pilot program. Please stop. If a police officer has somebody that has a domestic violence situation and you need one of these bags, you can GB for a wrecker that is a participant in the program, and they will bring over these resources to that person. So it's just incredible that, and I again can't thank all of our partners, especially the towing industry, because they stepped up and said, we want to be part of the solution. Okay.